All right, what's up, everybody? Dan Tanner here, live at Ball Arena, reacting to Nuggets and Jazz. I'm just sitting up here at the top of the lower bowl, watching the fans walk out of this one as the Nuggets get a 135-112 victory over the Utah Jazz here at Ball Arena tonight to conclude their 4-game homestand. They'll travel to Dallas tomorrow night to play the Mavericks on the second night of a back-to-back. Luckily, the starters, namely Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, didn't have to play in the fourth quarter. So that was great to see. They're going to need that extra bit of rest coming up tomorrow night. The Mavs do play tonight also. So both teams will be coming back or playing on the second night of a back-to-back. But what a win for the Nuggets here tonight. A historic start at Ball Arena. The Nuggets got out to a 19-0 lead to start this game. It was their largest run to start a game in franchise history, 19-0. You know, I tweeted this out during the game. Did it seem like the Nuggets were a little ticked off at the start of this basketball game? It sure seemed like that to me. I mean, after the loss to the Houston Rockets here on Saturday, we obviously know what went on between Bruce Brown, Kevin Durant during the game. We heard Bruce Brown's comments after the game. We heard Kevin Durant's comments after the game. I do want to touch on that a little bit because I didn't get a chance to on Saturday. But with tonight's game, this was a phenomenal game from some of the new guys for the Denver Nuggets. Namely, Cam Johnson was phenomenal tonight. I thought it was his best game as a Denver Nugget. He was perfect from the three-point line. 6 for 6 shooting from three was Cam Johnson tonight. In fact, all of his field goals, came from the three-point line. Cam Johnson was phenomenal. He just kept sinking to the lower corner. I'm pointing to the lower corner. You can't see it, but trust me, I'm pointing right to it where Cam Johnson was sitting all night. And Nikola Jokic was seeking him out in that corner. He was phenomenal tonight. I thought Cam's defensive effort was fantastic. The Nuggets needed this win. They wanted to end this 4-game homestand on a positive note as best that they could. Positive note, they're playing the Jazz tonight. Little pun there. And that's exactly what they were able to do. So excellent win for the Nuggets here tonight. We're going to have a lot to get into here in the postgame show. D-Mac might join me in the postgame. But we'll see. He's downstairs right now getting ready to hear from Nuggets head coach David Adelman. And I'm guessing it'll probably be like Cam Johnson, maybe Jamal Murray or Tim Hardaway talking tonight. But as far as the game goes tonight, and then we'll get into what's next for the Nuggets. So obviously, the way the game started, okay, the Nuggets came out on fire. What I like the Nuggets, what they did tonight, they were running like crazy, running with their hair on fire. So they get out to an 11-0 start. Utah has to call a timeout. Jokic, Murray, and Peyton Watson all hit threes. By the way, welcome back, Peyton Watson. How good was he tonight? You're able to reinsert him into the starting lineup and bring Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway off the bench. That paid off really well for the Nuggets tonight as well, having those two guys available to come off the bench and help out the second unit. So they get off to an 11-0 run. Utah has to call a timeout. And then what I love what the Nuggets did is usually after timeouts like that, after a big run to start a game, the other team will have a response in some sort of capacity. The Nuggets didn't allow that tonight. They just kept it going. So it was 11-0. Then they got out to a 19-0 lead to start this basketball game. Peyton Watson started off 3 of 3 shooting, hit a couple of his corner threes. Him and Cam Johnson in opposite corners. Boy, does that look good. And Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray were finding them all game long, at least while Joker and Jamal were in there. From those corner threes, it's the shortest three-point shot in basketball. And I tell you what, Peyton Watson from like the top of the three-point line isn't the best three-point shooter, but if you sink him down into the corner, he is deadly. He's been deadly from that spot this year. And that's exactly what we saw again tonight from Peyton Watson. So it was great to see him back. His versatility on this team it cannot be understated. That guy is so important to this team. I'll tell you what, I love Peyton Watson. I hope he's a Denver Nugget for a long time. But with the way he's started out this season, the way he's been playing, I don't know if if the Nuggets are going to be able to afford him next year. Like, we saw them extend Christian Braun over the offseason. They didn't extend Peyton Watson. I hope they're able to keep him. But there are going to be plenty of NBA teams that want Peyton Watson on their roster. So whether the Nuggets keep him or not, hopefully it can end in a positive way this year in an NBA championship, as he was phenomenal tonight. Jalen Pickett didn't get on the score sheet, I don't believe, unless he got in at the very end of the game. Let me check here. Oh, he had a 3. Okay, excuse me. But until the end of the fourth quarter, Jalen Pickett was scoreless. But I thought Jalen Pickett was phenomenal tonight. In that first quarter, he had 2 blocks. The first one was good. The second one was better. If you forget what the second block was from Jalen Pickett, it's at the very end of the first quarter, okay? Jalen Pickett is guarding a 3-on-1 transition fast break for Utah. Utah's got 3, and it's just Jalen Pickett, and he stops a 3-on-1 by blocking a shot out of bounds. I got to tell you, this place was loud tonight. It was at its almost loudest on that second block shot from Jalen Pickett, just because of the circumstances surrounding it. I mean, like I said, 3-on-1 transition fast breaks. You hardly ever see a guard stop that, let alone block the shot. So that was awesome to see. I thought Jalen was really in control tonight. Again, I've talked about this over the years. One of my favorite things about Jalen Pickett is his ability to run the second unit when he's in the game, like be that floor general for the Nuggets. He might not score a ton. He might not produce a lot of points offensively, but he's able to calm that second unit down and run the offense that David Adelman wants them to run. It's a little bit different when Jamal's in with the second unit. If Jamal's playing with Jonas Valanciunas and they're playing their 2-man game, I really like what they can do offensively. But the problem I've had at times with Jamal Murray staggering with the second unit is it tends to inevitably turn into Jamal Murray just playing one-on-one, dribbling the air out of the ball, and then jacking up a shot as the shot clock is winding down. So if Jamal's playing the 2-man game with Jonas Valanciunas, the second unit has looked great with him staggering. But if not, Jalen Pickett has really done a good job running that second unit. I think David Adelman really likes Jalen Pickett. I think he's going to continue to get minutes, even as this team starts to get back and healthy. If you were listening on the broadcast, I had it in one of my earbuds during the game, and Scott Hastings said he would be very surprised if Christian Braun doesn't play on the Nuggets' upcoming 7-game road trip, East Coast road trip. We've seen videos of Christian Braun dunking in practice. That is a great sign. So the Nuggets slowly but surely are starting to get back healthy. I had a feeling once Aaron Gordon and Christian Braun went down, in my head, the timeline was like, all right, let's see where this team is around Christmas and how healthy they can start to get right around this time of year. Peyton Watson came back tonight. Hopefully Christian Braun comes back on the road trip. And then who knows, Aaron Gordon, I would imagine that's just going to take a little bit more time, which I'm fine with, by the way. Those hamstrings are very, very fickle beasts. So you want to be careful with Aaron Gordon and the hamstring. Shoot, I'm fine with keeping Aaron Gordon out until after the All-Star break, if I'm being quite honest with you. Like, make sure that hamstring is good to go. But it would be nice to get him back sooner rather than later. But again, the beautiful part about this for the Nuggets, yes, it sucks that they've had the injuries they've had. It sucks that Aaron Gordon seemed to have really hurt his hamstring a month or so ago, whatever it was, in Houston. But the depth they built on this team allows them to let Aaron Gordon take his time and really get that thing right before they have to bring him back. This isn't a scenario like it was a couple of years ago where without Aaron Gordon, if you're missing Aaron Gordon and Christian Braun the last 2 seasons, this team is in a lot of trouble. This year, that's not the case. I mean, look at what some of the bench, the new guys, I shouldn't just say the bench guys because Cam Johnson's a starter, but look at what some of the new guys did tonight. Cam Johnson, 6 for 9 shooting, like I mentioned earlier. Perfect from 3. All 6 of his field goals came from three. He shot 100% from beyond the arc tonight. Poured in 20 points in just 29 minutes. Let's see, who else here? Jonas Valanciunas tonight, 5 for 11 as the backup center. I thought he was excellent again. 12 points for Jonas. That's all you need from Jonas Valanciunas. 12 points on 5 of 11 shooting. I'll take that every single night from the Nuggets backup center. Tim Hardaway was electric in that fourth quarter. He hit back-to-back threes, and this thing was over. Like the Jazz, I don't know, about 4 minutes into the fourth, tried to make a little bit of a run, but Tim Hardaway hits back-to-back threes, and you're like, okay, at that point, I'm sitting up here saying there's no way that the starters are coming back into this game, at least Jokic and Murray, which they did not. And then I thought Bruce Brown had probably his best game of the season tonight because of the circumstances surrounding Bruce Brown after Saturday's game against the Houston Rockets and what went on between he and Kevin Durant. You could tell, like, I'll just tell you this. So I went downstairs to get a water and a Diet Pepsi during halftime, all right? So I'm up here at the top of the lower bowl. Takes me about, 2 minutes to get down there, get a water, get a Diet Pepsi. I walk back out to come back up here, and when you go into the media room, you have to walk right past the Nuggets locker room. The halftime festivities were still going on. There's still about, 7 or 8 minutes left to go in the halftime break, which you hardly ever see players come out that early. As I was walking by, there's Bruce Brown right behind me. Like, he was the first player out. My point of telling you this is that dude was locked in tonight. Like, there was no messing around from Bruce Brown. He was focused. You could tell he really wanted to have a good response after everything that happened Saturday between he and Kevin Durant. And then you had Bruce in the postgame saying, hey, he crossed the line. There's certain things you don't say to guys on the floor. And I don't know if you heard Kevin Durant's response. If you haven't, it was fantastic. Credit to some of the local muggles here covering the Nuggets. They were the ones that asked the Rockets PR for Kevin Durant to come out and speak. And credit to KD. He didn't have to. He said, yeah, I'll do it. And Kevin Durant basically said, look, yeah, I did cross the line, and that was what I was trying to do. He was trying to cross the line with Bruce Brown during Saturday's Nuggets-Rockets game, okay? He admitted that. He said that was my point. And he's like, look, Bruce has got to learn to be able to jaw at other players and still play his game. Kevin Durant said he had to learn how to do that during his career. It was a tough thing to do during his career. So I just think that Bruce Brown, I'm sure he heard those comments from Kevin Durant, and the game he played tonight, like I'm telling you guys, I saw it back towards the Nuggets locker room. That dude was locked in. Even the security people were like, hey, we have a Nuggets player coming out already. So everybody, they have to let everybody know so that they can make sure the path is clear for the players to get out onto the court. And he was the first one back out for Denver to get shots up. That dude was locked in tonight. So that was just fantastic to see. So good stuff from the Nuggets tonight. Again, they get the 135-112 win. As always, feel free to comment along. I want to get to those throughout the course of the show. We'll get David Adelman, D-Max down there right now recording Adelman. So I want to hear his thoughts on the game tonight. And then it's just short turnaround. I mean, the Nuggets play in Dallas tomorrow night, like I said. But the good news for the Nuggets is the Mavericks are playing tonight. In fact, I think they're playing the Pelicans on the road. So both teams will be on the second night of a back-to-back. Let's check in on the Mavs score here real quick. I know they were playing the Pels tonight. Oh, wow. The Mavericks lost in New Orleans to the now 6 or 8? 8-22 New Orleans Pelicans, 119-113. Okay. So the Mavs are probably going to be pretty pissed off going into their home building tomorrow night to play the Denver Nuggets. So the Nuggets are going to have to bring it again. But again, my favorite part of tonight's game wasn't just the 19-0 start, which is a franchise record. I mean, that is fantastic. But the way the Nuggets were running the floor, the way they were moving without the basketball on the offensive end, I thought was vintage Nuggets basketball. That was a problem that kept popping up in the Houston game. The problem in the Houston game was anytime Joker had the ball, you had 4 dudes just standing around the perimeter. They get into those weird lulls at times throughout the course of a regular season. I've seen it happen over the course of the last couple of years. That was not the case tonight. Clearly, the coaching staff and David Adelman made that a point of emphasis, I'm sure, watching the film and coaching these guys up, saying, guys, you got to move without the ball. That's when we're at our best. And especially when you've got Nikola Jokic surveying the basketball court, if guys are moving and it's a fluid offense, that's when the Nuggets are nearly impossible to beat. And that's exactly what they were able to do here tonight at Ball Arena. I mean, they just blitzed the Jazz. This thing wasn't even close. In fact, the final score really doesn't even do it justice. It was 135-112, but the Nuggets were up 40-15 after the first quarter. Utah actually ends up winning the second, 31-29. But then again, bad defense in the third. They do give up 38 points in that third, but by that time it was over. And shout out to the second unit to start the fourth quarter. I thought they were absolutely excellent. They got off to an 11-4 start in that fourth quarter, which was key in this game. I mean, absolutely massive, because that allowed the Nuggets to take a deep breath and say, okay, looks like we're going to be able to rest Nikola, rest Jamal, and whoever else. And they were able to do that tonight. So excellent win for the Nuggets. And again, Tim Hardaway, that was an excellent performance. He had 3 straight threes in that fourth. That put the Nuggets up 114-88. Again, it felt like the Jazz were trying to get the momentum going in this game, and then he just slammed the door shut with 9 straight points to go on a 9-0 run, and this thing was all but over. All right, before we hear from David Adelman, there was an interesting article I wanted to share with you all from ESPN, and basically the premise of this article is 15 NBA players that are playing well above their value. Players in the NBA right now that are playing well above their value or contract is essentially what that means. And there is a nugget in here. The nugget they list, and it's kind of awkward talking about this right now because he was not very good tonight, but he's been good for the Nuggets this season. They listed Spencer Jones as one of the most on the all-value NBA team. Spencer Jones makes this list. He's been phenomenal this year for the Nuggets. This guy's on a 2-way contract. Okay, he's making $636,000 this year. I get it. It's a lot of money. But in NBA terms, that's pennies. I mean, Nikola Jokic is making like $65 million this year, and he deserves every cent, by the way. But this is a guy who is on a 2-way contract. If the Nuggets don't have the injuries they have this year, he might be down in the G League right now. And he's been up with the big club starting, by the way, playing phenomenally well. So he's playing over 25 minutes a game. 25 minutes a game for a guy on a 2-way contract that without the injuries probably wouldn't even be with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, maybe he would be. It seems like David Adelman really likes him. But he's been great. I mean, he's got 8.5 points per game. He's shooting 55.5% from the field, 38% from 3, and he's got almost 4 rebounds per game. And those are all his numbers as a starter. So in the article, it says Spencer Jones has already passed his games and minutes totals from the 2024-25 NBA season. And obviously he's had an increased role that thrust the forward into the starting lineup after Aaron Gordon sustained a hamstring injury on November 21st. So with Spencer Jones in the starting lineup, sharing the court with Jamal Murray, Cam Johnson, Peyton Watson, and Nikola Jokic, the Nuggets are now, it says 8-4 in the article, but with tonight's win, 9-4, and is a plus 16.1 points per 100 possessions. That's a great number. Spencer Jones is a plus 16.1 points per 100 possessions. For a 2-way player on that contract, that is unbelievable value that the Nuggets are getting from Spencer Jones. They do have an open roster spot right now, by the way. I should mention that. So the rule with Spencer Jones is there's a 50-game marker, okay, that he can play in 50 games before the team has to decide to send him back to the G League or to permanently put him on the roster. Now, earlier in the season, I was under the assumption that they would have to, if they were going to keep Spencer Jones, they were going to have to send somebody else on the active roster down. That is not the case. They have an open roster spot. I would be absolutely shocked if David Adelman and the front office do not keep him on the big roster, because he has been just an invaluable depth piece for the Nuggets this year. Like, we talk about all the depth the Nuggets acquired over the offseason, and they did a great job. But the guy that really went underlooked, I know he was here last year, but he was mostly in the G League. I kind of count that as a depth guy addition for this season, because he's been playing so much and because he's been starting, not just playing a lot, coming off the bench. He has been starting with one of the best starting units in the NBA. So that was just really, really cool to see from Spencer Jones tonight. All right, let's get to some of your comments here as we await the comments of Nuggets head coach David Adelman. We'll see if we can get some players in here as well. All right. Let's see. RJB says, great game tonight, boys. Good bounce back. Yeah, this was one of those games. I know it's still early in the season. We're not even to Christmas yet, but it was one of those games. You're on the last game of a 4-game homestand. You just had a brutal loss to the Houston Rockets. I mean, you got your asses kicked in your own building by a team that you're starting to develop a budding rivalry with against a really bad Utah Jazz team. Now, Adelman actually did mention in his pregame press conference, the Jazz have been playing much better as of late. Lauri Markkanen, their best player, he's averaging like 28 points a game. Tremendous player is Lauri Markkanen. He's probably going to be on Team World for the All-Star festivities coming up in February. But this was a game where you're ending a 4-game homestand. You got to get this win, especially after a really tough loss to the Rockets. The Nuggets have, for whatever reason, struggled at home this year. I believe they're now 9-5. I don't know if I'd necessarily consider that struggling at home, but for this team in this building in this city, that to me is struggling at home. Okay. But they had to get this win tonight. They started the game off 19-0. You could tell that right off the jump, this team was on a mission. They hit 9 threes in the first quarter. They were 9 of 14 from 3 in the first quarter. They only hit 8 threes in the entire game against the Houston Rockets. So that's what was working tonight as well. I mentioned the fast break points that the Nuggets got. Excellent running of the floor in the first half of this game. The movement without the ball on the offensive end was much better tonight than it was Saturday against the Houston Rockets. But the 3-point shots were they were falling tonight. And it was one of those nights where it seemed like no matter who was shooting up a 3, it was going in. So that was great to see from the Nuggets tonight. Kev says, hey, DT, appreciate you listening, Kev. All right, keep your comments coming in on the comments section as we await the comments of head coach David Adelman. Let's see here. We've got Kenneth saying Cam Johnson would have played like that against Houston. If Cam Johnson, I'm paraphrasing for you, if Cam Johnson would have played like that against Houston, the Nuggets might have won that game. I don't know, man. Like, it just seemed like everybody was struggling in that game. Cam had a really bad game against Houston. So talk about a bounce back game for Bruce Brown. I mean, this was, I think it was his best game of the year. And on the defensive end, he was fantastic. Again, like that's the thing you all have to keep in mind with Cam Johnson. He may not shoot as well from 3 as Michael Porter Jr. He may not be as big of an offensive threat as MPJ, but what he does defensively for this team more than makes up for that. I love MPJ. He's my guy. Okay. He helped this team win a championship. I've got no qualms with Michael Porter Jr., but defensively, it's night and day between Cam Johnson and Michael Porter Jr. and what he allows this team to do on the defensive end. And it's not even close. So this was an excellent bounce back performance from the Nuggets as a whole, but specifically from Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown. I thought both of those guys were absolutely phenomenal. All right, Kevin says, I'm thinking that the Nuggets can afford Peyton Watson, especially if we get another Larry O'Brien. Well, I like the positivity. Winning a Larry O'Brien is only going to hurt the Nuggets' chances of retaining Peyton Watson because that's just going to drive his value up. I mean, we saw what happened the year after they won it in 2023. They just couldn't afford to keep a guy like Bruce Brown. That's what happens to championship teams. You win a championship, other teams from around the league want to poach those pieces that helped you win a championship, like we saw with Bruce Brown and Jeff Green and a couple of other guys. But I'm hopeful. I know Peyton Watson likes it here. I've been to several bars here on Market Street in downtown where Peyton Watson is a frequent visitor, and he's got nothing but great things to say about the city. I know he enjoys his time here, but look, I mean, if he's going to get a payday somewhere else, it's going to be tough to keep him. That's just the way it goes. So, all right, let's see here. Kenneth also says, love Spencer. He adds toughness, in my opinion. Yeah, watch Spencer Jones on the defensive end. He's not the most athletic dude in the world. He may not have the top tier basketball IQ, but you're right, Kenneth. He is a tough good dude. And it doesn't matter who he's going up against. That guy is always ready to go. He's always, willing to put his body on the line for this team. And that's what we ended up seeing again tonight. All right. D-Mac's got Adelman up. So let's go ahead and share my screen here, and let's hear from the head coach of your Denver Nuggets, everybody.
Franchise has never done that before to start a game.
Really?
Does the game get easier or harder after start like that?
Harder. Yeah, just because the games are so long, and they're an NBA basketball team. They're going to start making shots to get themselves into a rhythm. It really is just trying to stay concentrated on what the goal is, which is a 2.5 hour game. When you score that quickly, take that kind of lead, I do think there's going to be a lull emotionally. I think it's totally natural. So we had it. I was really proud of the group in the start the fourth quarter, because I thought the third, we just kind of got up and down. They had 38 points, and I thought we locked back in defensively. Obviously, Tim got hot, but getting it back down to 28 was a really good number, I thought, for the fourth quarter, not having to bring back in the main guys. So a professional win, I thought. A really good win.
38 assists on 46 makes. What do you like just about the reads that everyone was making, not just Jokic from a ball movement standpoint tonight?
Yeah, not to sound boring, but just throw it to the open man. Spence missed shots tonight, but those were all great shots. They were created by, ball movement. I love seeing Jamal be aggressive in transition to score. And then I thought he made the proper play, when two were on him or multiple bodies were brought to him. So, yeah, it's a testament to the guys. Peyton comes back, throw Julian out there. I just felt like everybody to a man was just trying to make the right play for each other. And usually that leads to a low turnover night, and it was tonight with only 11. 38-11 is a ridiculous two numbers. So it's really good win.
From a leadership standpoint tonight, I thought Jamal had really good body language, egging guys on, encouraging guys. Have you seen that growth from him this year as a leader?
Yeah, and I think leadership is consistency. It's not emotions that change daily and nightly. It's who you are, your temperament. If he's doing that nightly, which he has the whole season, then it means something to somebody, because they know that it's not just in the moment leadership. It's throughout the season, pumping people up. And when guys miss shots, he was the first guy there, tell them to keep shooting. I guess it's growth, or it's just what I've been watching, all year. It's just been so the same each day. And this group they're unique. They like each other. And when you like each other and you respect each other, you can get on each other and you can pump each other up. So it's a really cool group.
There was something happened in the fourth quarter. Nikola Jokic not going to play the fourth quarter, and you and him were in a nice discussion, a basketball discussion.
Yeah.
Right on the sideline, and you go, most stars, 25-point game, is sitting there maybe having a hot dog and some popcorn over on the edge of the bench. And Nicola's talking hoops with you, and to the point where I think you said to him, good point.
Yeah.
What are conversations like that in the middle of a game that turned out to be a blowout?
Yeah, we were just talking about spacing and respacing some of the out of timeout plays and different ways we could do it. as opposed to the way we've ran things over the years. So it's nice to hear their feedback and what they see, especially from him. He's the one out there. He sees it. He's the one dealing with the double teams, the triple teams, the cross matches, all those things. So you have to take into account what these guys say, especially this team with all these vets. I've loved talking to Tim about the catch and shoot stuff that he ran in Dallas and the details that come along with that. Jonas in the post-up situations. You have these guys that have experienced a lot, played for a lot of really good coaches and played with really good players. You want their feedback. This is not like I'm the dictator and this is what we're doing. We're doing this together. I think you can have that relationship and the openness. You'll get through tough times, and then like nights like tonight, where everything went right. You can have an open conversation about how to get even better going down the line.
Tim had a really good night tonight. When the rotation's a little heavier on a night where you guys are dominating so much, like what did you like from his game and just how well he played? I
just love that Tim is Tim every night. And if Tim was 2 for 11 tonight, I'd have been fine with it. I love when he shoots the ball. I think there's a couple of times where I'm sure there's somebody in the crowd that was like, I don't know if that's a good shot. It's a good shot. That's what he's supposed to do. And he puts pressure on the other team because there is no moment that he won't shoot the ball. And he's 6 for 11 from 3. I thought he ran well tonight too. He got out in the lanes. I mean, we had 37 fast break points. More impressive to me is 13 of 15 of those opportunities. Because some nights you'll have a lot and you'll look down at the stat sheet and say, oh, we had 20 fast break points, so we were 8 for 21 of those opportunities. So the efficiency was there. And Tim was a big part of that. He's just such a weapon, man. You can run timeout plays for him, and he is his own timeout play. A lot of